Hello everybody, welcome back to the workshop. So in this video I want to talk about why it's important to learn from other creators, learn from other blacksmiths, learn from other teachers other than just myself. So I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story. If a story video is really not your thing and you're looking for a full tutorial, forging tutorial, I suggest you check out the rest of the channel. There's 1,100 videos here on YouTube where I do a whole bunch of a variety of things, but there's about, I would say about 800 of those videos are forging tutorials. So go check those out. If that's kind of your thing, you'll probably want to move on now. This is more of a teaching type video where I share some thoughts with you to try to help you in your development as a blacksmith. So the reason why it's important to take and learn from other smiths or learn from other masters or learn from other more talented or skilled people than yourself, or just from people who are your same skill level but have a different belief or viewpoint on the subject of blacksmithing, is because in blacksmithing there's a lot of nuanced answers about things. There are rights and there are wrongs in blacksmithing. Some people, kind of dicker and dacker back and forth on that point. But there are certain kind of do's and do nots. Like, I don't think anybody would argue the fact that you don't want to put your hand in a power hammer while it's running or it's cycling. That's a safety thing, see? So that's a do not. That's a definite no-no, right? Most people would agree with that, at least anybody that has sense, usually, about wanting to keep these puppies alive. But then there's things that are nuanced, like hammer technique, the way somebody draws out a piece of material versus somebody else, heat sources, whether you do gas forge, which is off the side here, or a coal forge. Some people use torches to heat their work and do different things. Is plasma cutting part of a blacksmithing workflow, or is it not? Or is it not really blacksmithing? Is that just more fabrication? Somebody who cuts out parts and then forms those parts. Are they really a blacksmith or not? There's a lot of nuances with that, and it's open to subjecture. It's open to opinions, viewpoints, different people on both sides of the aisle. So the reason why it's important to take and learn from a bunch of different craftsmen out there is that this way you can make your own decision on that. You can make your own decision about whether this technique or that guy's process will work for you in your workflow if you actually give it the honest college try and actually try it out in your shop. So it kind of goes to that old adage, don't knock it till you try it kind of thing. So with that being said, there's a lot of great information out there on YouTube that you can learn from. There's a lot of not so great information out there on YouTube you can learn from, but it's up to you to make that classification for yourself. Now, this is where it comes into, are you a complete greenhorn? Are you a complete noob at doing blacksmithing? Well, who do you believe? It's not as simple as that, because I could say, only listen to me in the way that I do things, only do stuff the way that Roy does things, and you'll be all right. Everything will go great for you. But I am only one perspective point. I have a way that I did things before I had proper training from a more experienced smith, and then I have a way that I do things now after that proper training with a more experienced smith. And now I've had the pleasure of working with several master smiths, and I do things completely different from the way that I was trained at my original time. So again, that's where my own personal viewpoint on blacksmithing and the craft as blacksmithing, when you're getting started, you need to take and compile all that information and listen for those reoccurring themes. And I'll repeat that again. Compile all that information and listen for reoccurring themes. So for instance, in the example, don't put your hand in a power hammer while it's running. That is a reoccurring theme that you'll hear from a bunch of smiths. If you ask questions in a bunch of smiths streams, live streams they may do, YouTube stuff, or ask them in person, go to your local club that has blacksmithing involved in it, and you ask them, hey, should I stick my hand in here and hold a hot punch while that hammer's running? and you will get a resounding no. That will happen, right? You will get a resounding no from people. So now that you have all that data to work from, you know that's a definite no-go for you, okay? Things that are more nuanced, that's where you have to try these things out for yourself. Things like, which one's better, coal or gas? I've answered that argument multiple times, and I've answered people that it's a tool. These are tools at your disposal to do your work or whatever interests you about the craft and the art of blacksmithing. So some people prefer coal, some people say gas, some people are limited to gas, and they're fine with that because they live in the city, they don't really have the space, they got a garage, and they got to park the Ferrari, and they can't have a coal forge in there dirtying up their white leather seats. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta stray away from the coal. There's other people, they live down in the backwoods, and nothing against that. I've got a lot of family from the backwoods, but they live down in the backwoods and they think gas is the rich man's game. Don't do that. Well, again, it's a tool. It's a tool at your disposal. So when it comes down to something like that, getting as much data, listening to as many people's opinions as you can on the pros and cons of one or the other is meant to take and help you make your ultimate decision. One of the interesting things about YouTube in the current state of YouTube and social media and Facebook and Instagram and all these other things is it's a great thing, and it is also a really horrible thing in the world of blacksmithing because misinformation can be propagated very fast and it can go like a plague. So say I say something but it's not completely right. Maybe I should have said it a little different. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about something, but I believe this to be true because it's just something I've done off of observation, but later on somebody corrects me and says, hey, that's not entirely accurate. Well, that lives on in infamy. There might already be 7,000 people who watched that and said, okay, cool, thanks. That's good information. And then they go out there and then they practice this for themselves, and maybe it wasn't the safest way of doing something. Maybe it wasn't that. Again, there's, it's hard to get everything out in an 8-minute or 10-minute or 12-minute tutorial on how to make a leaf. Like, hey, don't hold this way. It would be ungodly long. It would be a 15-hour demonstration on how to make a leaf if you had to re-up everybody all the time on safety concerns. Maybe I forgot and I left the Hardy tool in my anvil and I was swinging away and it just didn't even occur to me to let people know why it's okay because it's on my left hand, my tong hand side, not my hammer hand side. As again, most people say as a general rule of thumb, and I will suggest this, take the Hardy tool off the anvil. So this is just a few examples, and I'm hoping I'm not ranting on or waffling on too much about this, but this is a few examples of where you can get some misinformation, and that is why it's incredibly important to take and get as much data as you can, and then process that with what makes sense, what seems logical, try those different avenues if they are safe to do so or if you're sure about them or not so sure. Get in touch with an older smith, someone who's been at it a while, and throw ideals past them. Now I'm going to preface that just a little bit with saying sometimes be aware that the older generation of smiths, they have more of the mindset, I was taught this way, you'll do it this way. End of story. If you're going to be in my shop, it's this, this, and that. And that's kind of how I was trained, and so therefore that's kind of where I'm at too. I do it by the book. I go by the letter. If they say it's this way, then I'll do it their way. I may not follow that technique in my own personal forge, but if I'm in their shop, I'll do it exactly as they say. It's their shop, their house, their rules, right? So, but that doesn't mean I'll curtail my whole smithing style or the projects that I'm most inspired to make around that smith. So be very careful and very wary about accepting just one person's ideology about blacksmithing. that's one of those things that can get you in trouble here on the net and the YouTube if you're new to blacksmithing, and it's something that really propagates out. Because basically anybody with a camera nowadays, including myself, can get online and we can speak to the masses, and we can deliver misinformation, we can deliver accurate information, we can deliver damaging information, and then we could be your best friend too, and the guy that really helped inspire you get into blacksmithing and really move you down the path. Some great channels that I would recommend, and I want to take and recommend these guys out here because I think these gentlemen do an absolutely fantastic job of explaining things here on YouTube and teaching kind of their process. And I want to mention, I believe his name is Dennis at DF in the Shop. He hasn't been real active on YouTube these days. He plans on it sometime in this year of 2019 as the recording of this video to be a little more active. But DF in the Shop, I'll put links to these people in the description down below. It's the little down arrow. All you got to do is click that. It's about right over here in this area, just below the screen if you're watching it on mobile. These are really great guys, and they do a good job of delivering, for the most part, accurate and unbiased information. So the first one's Dennis at DF in the Shop. I definitely recommend you going and checking out his channel. Great guy. There's no frills, no bells and whistles here. It's just pure instructional about the videos and the craft of blacksmithing. The next guy I like to recommend is Tim over at Big Dog Forge. I've mentioned him a bunch of times. Again, great guy. Again, not a lot of bells and whistles here. He just explains to you how he does something, and he does a lot of Damascus and things like that. And he's really good to learn from, and really an easy listener. You know, he's not a guy to get really upset or flustered or do rants like this guy or anything like that. Really great guy. If you haven't seen Tim, again, at Big Dog Forge, I suggest you check him out. And then there's John at Black Bear Forge. I've mentioned John Switzer a lot of times on this channel. I really do like John's work. I like his approach and his kind of old salt way of teaching. And I think you can really benefit from his channel and the things that he has to teach you. His channel is very similar to mine in teaching style and structure. We are more focused on teaching the individual elements of blacksmithing than we are with panaz or show or anything like that. So, great guy, great instructions. If you really want to follow along, he does a really great job of highlighting the most pertinent steps for you to take and follow along with his processes. So again, that's John at Black Bear Forge. So if I can, I'll have Jessica put some cards up here that you can link over to their channels directly. And again, they'll be down in the description for that type thing. So anyways, lost my train of thought there. Don't you hate that when that happens? It's even worse when you're on YouTube and you're talking to a camera by yourself in the shop. So, so I've been heating a piece of metal here ridiculously, so I'm going to get back to forging, but I hope you'll take this to heart and consider whenever you watch somebody that you need to take their information with a grain of salt until you try it yourself. Take it, deliver it to your own forge, see if it helps you. If it helps you, apply it. If it doesn't help you, toss it out. Because as we go on in this whole little world of YouTube and more online blacksmiths that you may or may not see, is going to get increasingly more confusing to separate out what is good information and what is bad information, what is accurate, what is inaccurate, what's safe and what's unsafe. So again, hope you have a blessed day. Thank you for watching this video. As everybody says at the end of their videos, consider subscribing, hitting that bell for notifications. Watch another video while you're on the channel, why not? I greatly appreciate to have you here as part of a community. Here on this channel, we're more like a family than we are just a Roy online and you there sitting in your boxer briefs or whatever your clothing of choice is to watch YouTube videos. We really are a close-knit group here. I'd like to welcome you to the channel if you're new, and that's going to be it. Without further ado, I'm going to get back to forging. God bless you all and have a wonderful day.